This conference will now be recorded.
So in the last class, we have seen about Spring DAO module. DAO stands for Data Access Object, right? And under that, we have seen the module like Spring JDBC module. So in order to go with Spring JDBC module, the class what we use for Spring JDBC module is JDBC template. This is the very important point to remember. Now, today, let us move to the next module of under Spring DAO, that is Spring ORM module. ORM module. ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. ORM stands for what? Object Relational Mapping. And in our case, we are going to integrate with Hibernate. As we have learned one of the ORM framework, Hibernate framework. And this Hibernate is an ORM framework. Now, the class what we use for this Spring Hibernate, in order to integrate with Hibernate, the class what we are going to use is Hibernate template class. So we have seen a JDBC template. Similar way here, Hibernate template class of Spring API is used for Spring Hibernate. So this is the point what we should remember for intro time. Which class we have to use? Hibernate template class. Now, let us understand this with the example application. It won't take much time today. Example application. Here, add the following dependencies in pym.xml file. In pym.xml file, we need to add the dependencies. What dependencies we need to add? One is Spring ORM, and we need to add Hibernate dependencies and MySQL connector. MySQL connector already we have done it. So we need to add the dependencies in pym.xml file of Spring project. Open our project here under this pym.xml file. Here we need to add the project dependencies. Just what you do, copy the previous Spring dependency, paste it here, and replace this Spring JDBC with Spring ORM. The next dependency what we need to add is, so you can search for Hibernate dependency. So we are going with 4 version, which is working. Copy this piece of code and paste over here. And one more, already we have added MySQL. So this for now, these 2 dependencies are enough. Already we have added MySQL. Whichever the database we are connecting, we need to add that dependency. This is not good. So these 2 dependencies you need to add in pym.xml file, and already we have added MySQL. If you have not done, we need to add even this also. Now once we add this, save the file so that the jar files will get added into the project. Now, when we go with Hibernate, what we do? We create one project class, the project class object which we want to persist into the table. So let us create a project class here. Create a project class employee. Any class you can take. I'm going with the example employee in com.spring package of src main Java folder of Spring project. Open Eclipse. Under src main Java, you can see the package com.spring. Right click on package and in new class. We are going with the name employee. Go with the properties. Await int employee id. private string employee name, private int employee salary. Generate getters and setter methods. Right click and say source. Generate getters and setters. Select all and say generate. Now the project class is ready. Once we create the project class, what is our next step in Hibernate? We have to create the mapping file. So in today's example, I'm going with mapping file. So in the next examples, we'll go with even annotations in the project class. We'll make use of Hibernate annotations. So for today, let us go with how to manage the mapping file. So our next step is create Hibernate XML mapping file. I'm going with the name emp.hpm.xml in src main Java folder. Let us create this XML file. Right click on src main Java and say new other XML file. Go with the name emp.hpm.xml. Take the template of Hibernate XML mapping file. Hibernate XML templates. Take the template and remove this code and paste here. What is the root tag of Hibernate XML mapping file? Hibernate mapping. Now do the mapping part. How to start? Class name equal to, what is the name of the class? com.spring.employee. We are mapping with the table. I'm going with the table name employee. Now go with the primary key. How to refer primary key? ID. ID name equal to employee ID, referring to the column of table employee ID. Map the other properties. Property name equal to employee name, referring to the column of table employee name. Next property name, employee salary, referring to the column of table employee salary. This completes our mapping file. Got it everyone? Any questions up to here? Now let us move to the next step. Like as I mentioned, whenever you are going with the project, we have to make a plan, like what methods are required to operate the database. That planning we generally do using interfaces. So let us create an interface. Create an interface. Employee DAO in com.spring package. It's like a planning, and the planning we do by using interfaces. What methods are required to operate database? We do the planning using interface. Create an interface. Employee DAO. Here go with the methods. Public void save employee. So to this we'll pass employee object as argument. So what is the role of save employee method? What are the employee object we passed here? The project class object. This object we persist, we insert into database table. Next one, public void update employee. To provide the employee ID, we want to change the salary. Public void delete employee. To provide the employee ID, that record we want to delete. Public list employee. Listing is very simple. List employees. So when you call the method list employees, you should return the list of records present in employee table. So these are the CRUD operation methods. Once we create the interface, we need to implement this interface. We give this interface to the team members so that they'll write the code inside the methods. So what is our next important step? Create a Spring Bean class. Employee DAO IMPL. How the name should be? Whatever the interface name we have taken, we have to take the same name and with what? IMPL in com.spring package. This is the important piece of code. Right click on com.spring and it's a new class employee DAO IMPL. Make this class implements employee DAO. And so now we get error, keep mouse pointer on error and click here, add unimplemented methods. So the methods will come in front of you. So this is like planning, and here in class we are implementing. Now before we write the code inside the methods, which class is used for Spring Hibernate? Hibernate template. So go with the property Hibernate template. Hibernate template. Now to give the, let us import the package first. So what is the package here? org.springframework.orm.hibernate4. Now we have to give the value to this property. So go with the set injection, public void set Hibernate template. Hibernate template. We are going with the property Hibernate template. We'll say this dot Hibernate template equal to Hibernate template. Now first of all, let us inject this property value to the bean class so that this Hibernate template will be ready with the database connection. Then we can use this Hibernate template property to do the database transactions. Now for that we have to create the XML file. So next and very important step, create Spring Bean XML configuration file. I'm going with the name Spring Hibernate.xml, any name, in src main Java folder. This is the major piece of code. Right click on src main Java and say new other XML file. Go with the name Spring Hibernate.xml. Now take the template, Spring Bean XML configuration file template. What is the root tag? Beans. Remove this code and paste here. Now let us configure this. It's a lengthy code now. So start like this. Bean ID equal to emp. It's an object of class com.spring.employee DAO IMPL. So in the test class, when you refer to this bean ID emp, it returns object of which class? Employee DAO IMPL. In employee DAO IMPL, it goes with the property Hibernate template. In employee DAO IMPL, it's having one property Hibernate template, and we are giving the value to property using setter injection. That's the reason we go with the property name, and we'll see now reference equal to Hibernate template. For every reference, we have to create a bean ID equal to Hibernate template, and it's an object of class Hibernate template. This Hibernate template belongs to this package org.springframework.orm.hibernate4. Copy this package name and paste over here. In Hibernate template, it goes with the property name session factory. Session factory reference session factory. One more property name check write operations. Check write operations value as false. Means in the program we take care of transaction management. We will take care of committing the transactions. Now for every reference we have to create a bean. Create a bean. ID equal to session factory. It's an object of class local session factory bean. The session factory property, it's an object of its class local session factory bean, belongs to the same package org.springframework.orm.hibernate4. In local session factory bean, it goes with a property name data source. Reference data source. It goes with the other properties like property name mapping resources. Mapping resources. Here we have to provide the list of mapping files. What is the name of the mapping file we are using? It's emp.hpm.xml. So in this property mapping resources, we have to refer to this mapping file emp.hpm.xml. It goes with one more property name equal to Hibernate properties. So here we won't create any Hibernate XML mapping file. So in Spring Bean XML configuration file only, we provide the Hibernate properties. Property name Hibernate properties. Go with the properties like property key equal to Hibernate dot dialect. Dialect org dot Hibernate dot dialect dot MySQL dialect. Property key equal to Hibernate dot HBM to DDL dot auto. Let us go with the value create. So to create that table automatically. The next property equal to Hibernate dot show SQL. So SQL as to see the SQL comments. These are about local session factory bean. It goes with the properties data source, mapping resources, and Hibernate properties. Now we have to create a bean for data source. For every reference, we have to create a bean. Bean ID equal to data source. So once we come to Spring Boot module, no, all these burdens are reduced. So whatever the XML we are creating, this is not required in the case of Spring Boot. Okay. But to understand that more, if you come from this background, understanding Spring Boot will be very easy. So data source, bean ID data source, it's an object of class driver manager data source. This driver manager data source belongs to the package org.springframework.jdbc.data source. And here we go with the database connection properties. Property name equal to driver class name value com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. Next property name URL value jdbc colon mysql colon / localhost colon 3306 / java 05 our database name. Property name equal to username value root. Next property name password value root. Right. So this completes our XML file. Got it everyone? Any questions? Now in the test class, when you refer to this EMP, BNID EMP, it creates an object of employee DAO IMPN with a property Hibernate template, and these all data will be sure, these all property values are present in Hibernate template, means it's connected with the database. Now come back to your implementation class. Now this Hibernate property is ready. Now one more very important concept here. Above the property, if you use the annotation @auto void, very important annotation, @auto void above the property if I use, then creating setter injection or constructor injection is not required. So you need not go with the setter injection, constructor injection. So this piece of code is totally reduced to us. And we use annotation @auto void. Void means inject. So auto inject. Now one more point, in the XML file also, using this property element, property name Hibernate template, this is also not required. This is also not required. So it automatically identifies the property name Hibernate template and searches for the bean ID Hibernate template. So this in going with property element, constructor element is also not required when we use annotation @auto void, auto inject. And when we use annotations in our bean classes, in order to use annotations in our bean classes, we have to use one element here, context annotation -config. When we invoke this element, then only we can make use of annotations in our bean classes. Clear, all of you, the meaning of @auto void annotation? So many annotations we are going to learn. So if you understand annotations, majority of interview questions you can answer it. Annotations are very important to us. So one of the annotation what we have learned today is auto void. So next classes also we will be learning other annotations. Now let us enter into the methods. Write the code inside the method, save employee. Here first of all, get the session factory. How to get the session factory? Session factory SF equal to, by using Hibernate template now. Directly by using Hibernate template, we can get the session factory. Then open session. As usual, Hibernate code now. SF.open session, begin the transaction. So these are common steps. Import the package org.hibernate transaction. Now, what are the object you are having? By using this session object, call the method save and pass your object. That's it. Commit your transaction, close your session. That's it. This completes our save employee. Coming to update employee. Same steps. Now, get the record from table. Get the record from table based on your employee ID. So to get employee emp equal to s.get employee.class. Provide the primary key. What is our primary key? Employee ID. So based on this employee ID, we are getting the record from employee table and storing into this object. Since get method returns object, go with the typecasting. Now the record is present in this object. Now for this object, update with your new salary like this. emp dot set salary equal to set salary of emp salary. So now this emp object is updated with this employee salary. Now we have to call the method s.update and pass your object. That's it. The record will get updated. Next, delete employee. Copy this code, paste here. Get the record from table based on your employee ID using get method. Then which method we have to call to delete? s.delete. .delete emp. That's it. Record will get deleted. Then list employee, very simple. Just by using this Hibernate template, just to call the method load all and say entity class name employee.class. That's it. So when you say load all employee.class, it connects to employee table, pull out all the records from employee table, and that will return in the form of list employee. That's it. This completes our CRUD operations. Got it, everyone? Any questions? Now, the final step, let us create the test class to test our application. Create a test class, bring Hibernate test in com.spring package. This we need to run. Hibernate test main method. Now, first step, we have to load the Spring Bean XML configuration file. How to load? By using interface application context equal to new class path XML application context. So application context is an interface, and the implementation of application context interface is done by using class path XML application context. To this, we have to pass the argument our XML file spring hibernate.xml. Import the packages. Now get the bean. Employee DAO equal to context dot get bean emp. So when you refer here context dot get bean emp goes to XML file based on this ID emp. It creates object of employee DAO impl with a property Hibernate template, and it will inject all these values. Right? Now, since getBean method returns object, go with typecasting. Now create object of employee class. The values emp.set employee ID 101, emp.set employee name, emp.set salary. Now the object is ready with values. Now, by using DAO, call the method save employee and pass your object. So this method will take care of inserting this complete object data into the table. And this code, it's dropping and creating table and inserting record. And if you check your database, use Java 05, our database name, select star from employee. Here, the record has been inserted into the table. Got it? Now, since the table is already created, come back to this Spring Bean XML file. Since the table is already created, I don't want to create table again. Then we have to make this hpm2ddl.auto property value as update here. Or initially also you can go with update, no worries. You can even update also will create the tables if it is not existing. Now come back to test class. Now for this employee record, we want to change the salary. So for this 101 employee ID, we want to change the salary. We want to update the salary. So for that, we have to call which method? DAO.update employee. For this employee ID 101, we want to make the salary to 8,000. So when we run, we going to select the record and update the record. And if you check your table, the salary has been updated to 8,000. Now delete. Keep this code in comment. DAO.delete employee with ID 101. So once we run, it's going to select and delete the record. And if you check your table, there are no records in your table. Right? Now let us insert some records. Insert into employee values 101, the name and salary, comma 102, the name and salary. 103, the name, and salary. There are totally 3 records in the table. Now we want to display these records. Select command. So here we have to call list employee list equal to call the method do.listEmployees. So when you call the method do.listEmployees, it's going to return the list of employee records into employee list. Import the package for list. Now traverse your list. How to traverse? For employee employee list. It's going to pull out one record from your employee list and stores into emp object and display the object. That's it. Now so when we run, it's going to display the list of records. So since we are printing object in SOP, it's going to invoke toString method. So go to your employee class and override toString method. How to override toString method? Right click and say source, and you can see the option C, generate toString. Generate toString, generate. That's it. The code is ready for you. So it's going to override toString method. Now see when we run, so it's returning say employee records, employee ID 101, 102, 103. So what are the records we're having? It's showing in the readable format here. So the way we write toString method, that code will get executed. In which format you want to display the records, it's up to you. But even through Eclipse, we can even generate toString method. Right? Clear this test class, all of you. Any questions? Right? So please practice this compulsory. Very, very important Spring Framework is. And in the next class tomorrow, we go with one more new module and very, very important module, that is Spring MVC module. It's mainly to develop web applications. And don't miss the beginning. Beginning is important. We have to understand about MVC architecture first. So if you understand what is the need of going with MVC architecture, then only we can understand Spring MVC module. Nowadays, any programming language we take, if you are going with the web applications, we are using MVC architecture in that. So first of all, we should understand what is this MVC architecture, what is the advantage of going with MVC architecture, then how to use this MVC architecture in Spring. Okay, it's mainly for web applications. So that we discuss in tomorrow's class. Right? Yeah. Thank you all.